So, welcome again, everyone, and thank you for joining. So, we are on verse 8 today, 8 verses for training the mind by Geshe Langri Thangpa. We are on the verse 8. But before we begin listening to the teaching on verse 8, we will one by one, we'll go through all the verses again. Because why I do this activity, like reading it out again, is because we forget. We all forget, and it's always good to remind us of these important lines so that we can practice. So let us begin. If one of you could read verse 1 and verse 2, and then the next one, verse 3, one, verse 4, and like that we can continue. So anyone who feels ready,
Yeah.
please start. Yeah.
Verse 1. Always hold others as dear and precious. By thinking of all sentient beings as more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel, for accomplishing the highest aim, I will always hold them supremely dear. Verse 2. Consider myself as the lowest among all. Whenever I am in the company of others, may I regard myself as the lowest of all, and from the depths of my heart, cherish others as supreme.
Thank you, Raviji.
Yeah, thank you.
Lakshmi, would you like to read? Uh, if if you would like, you can read verse 3 and 4.
Sure.
Yeah.
Afflictions as soon as they arise. In my every action, I will watch my mind. And the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront and avert them strongly, as they will destroy both myself and others. Verse 4. May I cherish this precious treasure? Whenever I see beings who are weak in nature or those overwhelmed by negativities and suffering, I will cherish them as something rare, as though I had found a priceless treasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, verse 5 and 6. Snehi, is your connection okay? Would you like to read verse 5 and 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Verse 5. Accept the loss on oneself and give the victory to others. Whenever someone out of envy treats me unfairly with scolding, insults, and more, may I accept the loss of myself and offer the victory to others. Verse 6. View those who harm us as spiritual teachers. Even when someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes harms me very unfairly, may I view that person as a true spiritual teacher.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I'll read verse 7 and 8. Verse 7, taking and giving. In short, both directly or indirectly, may I offer every happiness and benefit to all my mothers. Mothers means all living beings. And secretly take upon myself all the harm and suffering of my mothers. So this was regarding Tonglen, basically, that taking in everyone's suffering and exhaling out happiness and peace for them. Verse 8, which we are going to do today, all things are like illusions. I will learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all phenomena are like illusions and without any clinging gain freedom from bondage. So, the 8 worldly concerns in Buddhism are uh, what we call the poles of duality. So, we run towards gain, run away from loss. These are 2 worldly concerns. Then we run towards happiness, run away from suffering. Right? So, that would be pleasure and pain. Run towards pleasure, run away from pain. That's 4. Wanting fame and running away from rejection or insignificance. So that's 6. And the last 2, I believe, are wanting praise and blame. So wanting praise, appreciation, and if somebody blames and criticizes, we are not able to take that. So these are 8 worldly concerns or the poles of duality, in the middle of which we are always getting powdered. We are always suffering in the middle of which. So these practices that we are uh, taking the vows for, that I will do these practices, I will keep them untainted by the thoughts of 8 worldly concerns. That is to say that my intention of doing these practices is not to gain fame or respect or run towards pleasure. It's whatever hardship I have to face, I will face, because this is important, this is precious, what I am doing. Okay? And then may I recognize all phenomena. Phenomena is any limiting thing, like thoughts come and go, anything limited with time. Situations come and go, feelings come and go, sensations come and go, bodies come and go. So anything that appears and disappears is phenomena, limited by time. May I recognize all phenomena are like illusions, because we try to find our ground there. So basically, they are saying that I would not try to have a ground in the fleeting phenomena, and without any clinging, gain freedom from bondage, the bondage to these poles of duality. So we will just listen to the teachings, and if later we have any reflections, we can share them. Just a second. Yeah, so it starts here. Put it on.
So the last verse says, I will learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. So the 8 worldly concerns are gain and loss, fame and disrepute, praise and blame, and pain and pleasure. So mostly we want gain and praise and pleasure and a good reputation. And so a lot of what we are motivated by is order to gain these things, to gain a good reputation, to gain more material goods, to, and therefore to be able to get more pleasure out of life and so forth. And also in order to avoid those things which we don't want, like loss and blame and a bad reputation, and anything painful, anything which is unpleasant for us to have to deal with. So much of our actions, even on the spiritual path, is motivated, underlying motivation is towards all of that we should gain pleasure and avoid anything unpainful, in other words. And so therefore he's saying, let's try to practice with going beyond all of that pleasure, pain principle, the gain-loss idea. Let's just practice for the sake of practice and not worry about whether or not this brings us rewards in the sense that we normally think of rewards. That maybe at the beginning we will end up feeling worse. You can't tell, But we are not doing this in order it's going to make us feel better. We're not doing it for the sake of pleasure. We're doing it for the sake of finding the truth and waking up. So, for example, back to these nuns at the time of the Buddha, I mean, many of them gave up great wealth and became, in those days, monks and nuns were like, some of the more ascetic kinds of sadhus. They were barefoot, they didn't have nice monasteries and nunneries. They really did go on alms round, insofar as nobody was waiting at the roadside, as in Buddhist countries nowadays, with their best food to offer to them. They just left ate the leftovers that, you know, if they could manage to gather something. And they wore rag robes, and they just wandered the streets of northeast India, and it was a very hard life. They had given up, many of them had given up so much, and outwardly they had gained so little, but inwardly they had gained enormously, to the point where quite soon they became liberated and completely freed from the whole round of birth and rebirth. So in that sense, they were not looking for any of the things which we might hope to aspire for. They were not looking for worldly happiness. They were not looking for people to praise them and admire them. They were not looking for any kind of material gains at all, and or worldly concerns. They simply had gone beyond all of that. And because they were able to let go of all their concerns, which normally motivates us very much, that we want people to praise us and to speak well of us, and that we hope it's going to lead to nice things happening, and that we will get something from all this. And to undercut all of that and just absolutely focus themselves completely on letting go, letting go, letting go, until they were able to also let go of their delusions and their ego and attain to liberation.
So there's one thing which I want to just add on here, that this usually the mind that we live with, the ordinary consciousness that we live with, we are always doing things as a means to an end. So for example, somebody asks me, okay, why are you doing college? No, I am doing college because so that I can get a good job. Why do you want to get a good job? So that I can get some good money. So that, right? So the ordinary mind that we live with, it always uses everything as a means to an end. So when we are discussing this verse 8, that I would not fall into this trap of gain and loss, praise and blame, wanting respect, running away from insignificance, wanting pleasure, running away from pain. So that is what our ordinary mind, the way we live, we are used to that if it is bringing me pain, because meditation very often brings us pain, brings it undercovers many subcurrent things which are going on, which I have to face in meditation, right? So it's not a very pleasant experience all the time. So that's what she's sharing, that whatever I'm doing, the spiritual path that I'm walking on, it's not easy. It will be challenging, but I will face the challenges with a lot of delight, because this is the right way to this is the right way to live. That's why I would do that. It's not that it will reach me somewhere or it will make me more happier, not because of these things, not that I want to run away from my pain. That's why I'm doing meditation. I want to understand my pain, I want to go close to it. So just wanted to kind of add on. Yes.
So this is more or less what he's trying to encourage us towards, I mean, and of course we are doing the best we can within who we are. We are not, these are always, practices for very high level bodhisattvas. And, if it was that easy, then we would all be very high level bodhisattvas. But nonetheless, they set the example there. This is what we're aiming towards. This is what we aspire towards. And we know it is possible. And if it's possible for others, it could be possible for us. If we just keep practicing, it's like if you listen to a professional musician playing a classical piece, whether Western or Asian music, I mean, it is completely beyond our range. And yet, if we keep practicing and practicing and practicing, we also can play that instrument. We also can master that instrument. We may not be concert pianists, but we certainly can play enough that the music sounds very nice and people will enjoy listening to it. And so this is the point. You know, how does anybody get to a point of proficiency in anything? It's by practice. And so likewise, in our life, how do we begin to really make some progress on the path? It's by walking it. If we just sit there and go through all the things we need, we're still in base camp, you know, ticking off all the things we need for our equipment, but never trying to make the ascent, then, you know, what's it all for? So each one of us has our own path to travel. But and some people go very, very swiftly, some people go very slowly. But as long as we're still traveling, that's the important thing. Whatever pace we get to, at least we don't give up. The saddest thing is not how slowly we're traveling, but whether or not at the end of it all we give up and say, I can't do this. That is a tragedy. But as long as we have sincere aspirations and we're trying at whatever level we're at, then, you know, we will still keep going. So then his final lines are, may I recognize all things as illusions and without attachment gain freedom from bondage, indeed. So one of our problems with not being able to let go more than we do is because we think everything is so very, very real and solid and enduring. And even at the very basic level, we don't, in our heart of hearts, believe in impermanence. Not only not emptiness, but even impermanence we resist. So other people lose things, other people lose people, but not me. So that people are shocked. Even devout Buddhists are shocked when people that they love and are attached to become sick or die. Because even though we say impermanence, 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 non-attachment, 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 in our heart of hearts we don't believe it. It's for other people, not for me. And so we suffer. We suffer because we are grasping so tightly and we cannot hold gently and allow that. We do come into being and then we go. I mean, that's the way it is. It's been like that since the beginning of time. It will always be that way. However much people think that they can live on forever, we cannot live on forever. Relations don't last forever. They just don't. And as long as we do not accept that, we are going to suffer. It's not that it's good or bad, it just is. Many of the people who became nuns at the time of the Buddha, the stories were of women who had lost their children, their babies, or their young children, and they were frantic. Some of them went completely crazy, wandering around, people throwing stones at them, mad women, from their grief. Because if they lost their child, then their family didn't want them. Maybe their husband also died, or they got thrown out, they had nowhere to go. I mean, it's not just 2,600 years ago, right? You lose everything and nobody wants you. And these women, they're not educated, they have no job, they have no money, they have no security, they have nothing. And so they wandered around crazy until they met with the Buddha. And the Buddha didn't say, oh, yes, isn't it sad, isn't that awful? He said, why, dear, the amount of tears that you've cried from the loss of your loved ones would fill the 3 oceans in all your lives. come on, wake up. And somehow they found that comforting and renounced.
So we'll just take a pause here. Basically, understanding groundlessness. I'll just take a pause here. I think on groundlessness, we had shared many teachings earlier also that we don't have anything solid to hold on to. And when we say that to make the divine your ground, only trust in the divine, then we are actually, in other words, saying that hold on to groundlessness. There is no ground because the divine is infinite. So it is not like a wall that I can hold on to. When I say groundlessness, that's also infinite, like space is infinite, right? So if I say that, okay, I only have faith in the divine or the infinite, I'm actually saying that I have faith in the groundlessness. That yes, things are changing all the time, things are fleeting, no relationship is permanent, no life situation is permanent. And hence, if I try to make any person, no matter if it is my parent or child or how close it may be, if I want to make any person my ground, any life situation my ground, sooner or later suffering will come. We all have experiences like that in our life, no? A very good friend we may have trusted and things change, the friend is not kind to you anymore, so things change. Now, are you going to beat your chest over it, or are you going to realize that this is the fact of life, that things keep on changing, things are fleeting, things are impermanent? Can I be okay with the impermanence? Can I live with the impermanence? So when I say, I personally sharing my experience, when I say I have faith in the divine, I am actually saying that I have faith in groundlessness, that I am okay that there is no ground. Because the divine is infinite, groundlessness equivalent to the infinity. You cannot touch it, you cannot grasp it. While with the clingy mind that we have, as it was shared in the verse 8, that without any clinginess or attachment, I would try to gain freedom from bondage. So this is the bondage, that we try to find happiness in the fleeting stuff. And that's where we suffer. We become so miserable because in the beginning, the same person that may give me happiness, very soon, the same person which I waited for years, the same person begins to give me now pain. So it's not in the person that is pleasure and pain, it is the nature of things that keeps on changing. Hence, I cannot make it a ground. No person, no situation is fixed. People are changing all the time, we are changing all the time. So if I try to grasp and cling to anything as my stable ground, sooner or later suffering will come. So if I have to now understand the nature of suffering, I have to look at this habit of clinging. This is being shared, that let us look at this habit of clinging, that either I'm clinging to my thoughts, my opinions, my ideas about world. Either I'm clinging to my point of view, or clinging to a person that I love, I claim I love, or clinging to property, a life, situation, maybe my house or money, bank balance, my body. So any kind of clinging will sooner or later result in misery, because things are not what they appear to be. This we have discussed earlier also, that we think that this is solid, or the person that I am holding on to is solid, but the person is there, the body is there, but things are changing. We are all interconnected. There is no concreteness in the person out there. Even physics now declares that at the subatomic level there is no concreteness, like it's wavy. So that's why I will suffer if I try to grasp onto anything. So if I realize this through my practice, then slowly I can let go. What was shared, that hold things very lightly, just like we hold water in the palm. We hold it very lightly, because if I hold tightly, water in my palms. It squeezes out, it doesn't stay. But if I hold water lightly, if I hold my relationships lightly, my opinions, thoughts, ideas very lightly, not clinging to them, then I can go through life and not suffer myself much, because I know that things are fleeting and changing and I don't have to cling to anything. So basically talking about the idea of groundlessness, that can we be okay with the impermanence and the groundlessness. So anything here anyone wants to share, we can take it up. Okay, so I'll continue. Oh, Saurabh, you have a point?
No, Monica, actually, on the video, last couple of seconds were not very clear. So when the ladies were little crying about the loss of the children, they had a message. So what was the message? I could not get that.
Yeah, so these ladies who lost their children and maybe lost everything, their spouses and houses and everything, so they are running around everywhere like a mad woman. They are running, crying in grief and pain that, oh my God, I've lost this, that, and everything. So when they approached the Buddha did not comfort them in the way that, oh my God, what happened with you? But he said that these tears that you are uh, crying out, these tears, you have been crying out like this for lifetimes because you have been trying to hold on to these fleeting things, baby or spouse or things. So now it is time to wake up. That's what she said, that Buddha said, now why don't you wake up? Wake up to the fact that things are fleeting and you cannot depend your happiness on coming and going of things. So waking up, he stressed upon waking up. Yeah, that's what she shared. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would like to share. It's you told me about we are clinging to the outside, outer world, like materials or whatever it may be, the outward relationship. First of all, everyone, if we will start to connect to our inner self, first we have to connect. Then it will say to us whether it is what exactly we have to attach, or at this moment what we have to do. At the present moment. So if we will connect to our inner self first, then it will say to us always, like how Sri Aurobindo and Mother mentioned, as even Buddha also, non-attachment means, first of all, we have to connect to our inner self. Then you have to just express love and peace through materials or humans, whatever it may be. Then there is no attachment. That is what I would like to share. I mean, this is from inner perspective.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the more we observe, as you shared, living within, and more we observe ourselves, if we can become conscious of whether I am operating from a sense of lack or from a sense of deep connection, as you shared, then we can see it clearly whether the thing is to be done or not to be done. Yeah, as you were sharing. Yes. Okay, so let's continue. There were a few minutes left in this one, and then it continues into the other part, which is also very beautiful. I'd like to all of us to listen to it. So let's complete this first.
And became liberated because they recognized, and of course also the story used to go to me going around looking for a handful of mustard seed from a household where nobody had died. The same message. Death and loss is universal. We might not like it, but it's how things are, and until we accept it, we are going to be pained. Once we accept it, then we can release.
So this story, the last one that she shared, was about Gautami. A lady came to Buddha and she was grieving very badly for a lost child. And the Buddha, and she said that you are, enlightened and you have all the powers. I want you to wake my child up again, make him alive again. And he said, okay, I will do that. But first, you go around in the village and get me some pieces of grains or whatever from a house where nobody has ever died. And when she went around every house had somebody or some person or some child or whatever that has died. So this was just to make her realize that people die. We are not here forever as mortal beings. So to accept that fact of impermanence, and basically we cannot make any person who we make a claim to love, whether it is my child or my spouse or parent or sibling, I cannot bank upon anyone for my happiness, because if I do, sooner or later it will just bring me pain, because things are fleeting. That's their character. So it continues, the teaching continues here. We'll just go ahead and listen to this.
So the reason why we are grasping with attachment is because we think things are real and solid and always going to be the way they are. And we don't understand how much we project our outer and inner reality, so that it's always compared to mirage, rainbows, and so forth. All these things which come up and are very apparent, but depend on causes and conditions, sunlight, moisture in the air, and so forth, so that you can never grasp it. It's real on one level. Everybody, oh, look at the rainbow, everybody sees rainbow. But if we look for the rainbow, we never can find it. So this is why it is again and again these kind of illusions, dreams.
So this rainbow example, I think it's a very important example, that things are like illusions, in the sense that if you see a rainbow, of course we see the rainbow, but we cannot grasp it, we cannot hold it in our hands. That's why she, in teachings it is shared that things are not as they appear to be. They appear to be like that because we have these limited sense perceptions which make them appear like real and solid. But actually, if we go even to with scientific knowledge, if we go deeper into anything, even this body that appears so solid, we see that at the subatomic level, or there is nothing here. Like there are these particles which are wavy, like it's not solid as it appears to be. It appears solid because of our senses. And this mother also shares, and that day I had shared a passage from mother reading, commenting upon Life Divine, where mother was exactly sharing upon this, that our sense perceptions delude us, and we think that I can get hold of it, I like it, let me get hold of it so that I can be happy. But we can never get hold of it, whether it's a person, relationship, anything. It's all like a rainbow, we cannot grasp it.
And mirages, rainbows, and so forth are used to give people the idea that on one level they are real, but on another ultimate level you can never grasp the thing in itself. Like a movie, I mean, a movie is there. We can all agree this is it, that's the plot, we all heard the same thing. But actually, if you try to grasp the actors, they're not there. Right? They are depending on the projection of all these frames, moving very, very fast, and the light going through them, which demonstrates the mind very well. That the thought moments are like little empty frames, moving so fast, and then the pure, clear light of the nature of the mind shining through, it projects this whole seeming reality in front of us. And we can enjoy the movie, we can enjoy the projection, as long as we don't try to grasp it with attachment and hold on and cling on and believe the harder we hold on, the less likely it is that we will lose something. But in fact, if we hold it very lightly, we're much less you know, things will be allowed to flow. And when they do lose, we can accept it. It's very important. I mean, this is something for all of us, because everybody, it's not just monks and nuns. Everybody needs to hold things more lightly. I mean, if we look at it like a butterfly, then if you hold the butterfly very gently, the butterfly will settle there. But if you go like that, oh, you're such a beautiful butterfly, no butterfly. We've killed it. We've killed the very thing that we want the most, because we are grasping too tightly. So we kill the very happiness which we are seeking, because by holding on so tightly, we're so afraid to lose. That's why liberation comes from letting go. Doesn't mean you all have to become sadhus. It's not an external renunciation. It's an internal allowing things just to be and holding them gently, caringly, lovingly, but not with this tight mind, which is terrified of letting go. So that's why he says, without attachment. You see, people mistake attachment and love. We're always going on about this. People think that the more they hold on to somebody tightly, the more it proves that they love them. But if we're holding on to people very tightly, what it really means is, I love you and therefore I want you because you are going to make me happy. Right? So always attachment is saying, I love you, therefore you make me happy. Whereas genuine love is saying, I love you, therefore I want you to be happy. And if that includes me, that's nice. And if it doesn't include me, it doesn't matter so much, because your happiness is what counts. So I often say, when I first was coming to India when I was 20, then, so my mother, she was a widow, and she had my brother and me, these two children to bring up. And my brother was older than me, and he was in the Royal Air Force, so he was in Malaysia. And so there was only myself and my mother at home. And my mother had by this time also become Buddhist. And so we had a lot to share together. You know, we would go together to the various Buddhist meetings and meet with the lamas and so forth. She was very, very interested in my spiritual path and made it her spiritual path too. And so there were just the two of us at home. And then there was a school for young incarnate lamas in Dalhousie in Himachal Pradesh, and I wanted to join that. And then I got a letter saying, yes, please come. So I remember running through the streets to meet my mother. She was coming from work. And I said to her, oh, I'm going to India. And she said, oh, yes, dear. And when are you leaving? She didn't say, oh, you can't go to India and leave me, your poor mother, all alone. What am I going to do if you leave me? She didn't talk like that. Why? Because she loved me. And she knew I wanted to come to India. So she just said, when are you leaving? And then, for a time, she came to India later and stayed about a year. And then I stayed in India that time about 11 years. And then she wrote and
Yeah, I think this is about it. And then after that, there is question and answers also on in this video particular one. So if those of us who are interested, they can go through it. They're also very nice. So I'll just see if there is anything else with me here. Yeah. So there's something I'm going to read for all of us on viewing all phenomena as illusions. So this is from 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva by Shantideva. When encountering objects which please us, anything that gives me sudden happiness or joy, when encountering objects which please us, to view them like rainbows in summer, not ultimately real, however beautiful they may appear, and to relinquish craving and attachment is the practice of a bodhisattva. So the usual mind whenever we have anything good, we want to, oh, I want it. Like a good car, I want it. Beautiful looking girl, I want it. So whatever we like, we want it. So we are letting go of this wanting mind, craving mind. So if it is beautiful, it has come upon my way, I will enjoy it and then let it go, let it pass. I would not try to hold it tight, as she was sharing. The various forms of suffering are like death of one's child in a dream. By clinging to deluded perceptions as real, we exhaust ourselves. We all have experiences of how much drainage of energy we cause to ourselves when we try to hold on to life situations, office situation, situations at home, family, children. Whenever we try to hold on, we suffer. Therefore, when encountering unfavorable circumstances, to view them as illusions is the practice of a bodhisattva. So whether it is a pleasing condition, letting it come and go, whether it is an unpleasing condition, letting it come and go. Because things are fleeting, nothing is here to stay forever. So in that understanding, I can be rooted. I can be rooted in that understanding. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to maybe lastly share. There is something by the mother on this, which I maybe will read it out. It's very short paragraph from commentaries on the life divine by the mother. So this is regarding how we see things as real, but they are not as they would appear to be. So I'm reading where mother is reading a paragraph from the life divine and then maybe commenting upon it. The only really important thing modern science has discovered is that from the purely outer and physical point of view, things are not what they seem to be. So we were looking at the body. So I touch this, look at it subatomic level, the hard thing that looks matter, and I see that it's not that hard as it appears to be. It's like very fluid, wavy, like all the subatomic particles, they have this wave or a particle character, whether it will behave like a wave or a particle. So it appears very solid, but it's not that solid. So even from a physical point of view, things are not what they seem to be. When you look at a body, a human being, an object, a landscape, you perceive these things with the help of your eyes. You touch, hearing, and for the details, smell and taste. Well, science tells you all that is illusory. You don't see things as at all as they are. You don't touch them as they really are. You don't smell them as they really are. You don't taste them as they really are. It is the structure of your organs, our sense organs, structure of our sense organs, which puts you in contact with these things in a particular way, which is entirely superficial, external, illusory, and unreal. Right? So mother is just sharing that even, yeah, could you please share? Yes, I'll share that. I think I had shared a snapshot also, but I will write it down and share with all. How mother is sharing that we don't see things as they really are, which is also the teaching that we are hearing, that things are like illusory. It's like it's not really there that you are trying to grasp. And that is the reason, that's the very reason why in relationships we are not able to grasp the other person. Just like she was sharing that we are not able to grasp the rainbow. It appears solid, but it's not there. And that's why nothing in material world I can hold on tightly to and make my like property. Even if I do, it will be taken away. So just one more paragraph from the mother. From the point of view of science, you are a mass of not even of atoms, of something infinitely more imperceptible than an atom. So these, even science has gotten down to the subatomic, very minutely subatomic particles, which is in perpetual movement. So I cannot, like hold it because it's moving all the time. I cannot like grasp it. There is absolutely nothing which is like a face, a nose, eyes, a mouth. It is only just an appearance. And scientists come to this conclusion, like the uncompromising spiritualists of the past, that the world is an illusion. It is not what it appears to be. It's not. So for example, there is this story of an elephant. Elephant is coming, and there is this disciple who has just learned that everything is divine, and he's not moving in front of the elephant, and he's saying that that elephant is divine, so it will not kill me or harm me. But the person sitting on the elephant is saying, just move away, otherwise you will be killed. So he doesn't listen and he gets thrown away. So this guy goes to his guru and talks to him that you said everything is divine, and I did not, I thought that the elephant is divine, that but look what happened, I broke my whatever leg. And he says, yes, I still hold true that everything is divine. Even the person sitting on the elephant was divine. So you chose not to listen to him. So it's not that things are not there and you can just jump onto the roads and kill yourself, but things are not what they appear to be. We have to maybe make a clarity here. So mother is sharing that one says that somebody comes and says, but I see this, I touch it, I feel it, and I'm sure of it. From the scientific point of view, it's nonsense. So I think it's very powerful that even from a scientific point of view, if we go deep into even quantum physics, we see that things are not what they appear to be. We cannot trust our senses. We have deluded perceptions of reality. So I think it has the power to make us more grounded. That not to take my thoughts, opinions, situations, ideas about a situation too tightly, like holding it a little loosely, so that we can open up. Yeah. 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 We are making a fool of ourselves mostly. Yes. I think that's why Kabir, in many, many couplets, he also shares that be careful of these senses. And many masters, again and again, not only Kabir, have asked us to be wary of senses. In Gita, it says that, just like a uh, turtle, or tortoise, I think turtle or tortoise, it kind of pulls its legs inside and, goes inside the shell. Just like that for sadhana, this is what you should do. That all the senses are turned inward and you are doing the sadhana within. Because the senses will keep on deluding. They will give you a promise, and if you fall for the promise, you will suffer very soon. So here mother was just sharing that even scientists who have started with the matter have come to the same truth which the sages of the Upanishads were trying to tell, that things are not what they appear to be. So whether we start from matter side or we start from the spirit side, the truth is one. We are going to reach it from both the poles. Yeah, I think that is what yeah, that's what I wanted to share. It resonated very much with what we were discussing about the illusory appearance of things. Yeah. So anything, any comments, any reflections, anyone? So one last thing on this verse 8, which I have this document with me on verse 8, that how can we use it in practical life? Now, many a times we will fail, and it's okay. We have to just get up, dust our pants, and go ahead. Not to buy too much into guilt and shame that I was not able to do it, or how miserably I failed, even when I talk about it, discuss about it. Because we are all on the path. If things were already perfect, then we would not be holding the sessions of these kinds. But the things are imperfect and we are moving towards perfection. We have to allow ourselves to fall, and to make that fall into even a greater understanding and greater rise, as Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri, that the divine makes use of each fall into a greater rise. And we all are imperfect beings, so not to cry and be guilty and be shameful about our imperfections. So when afflictive emotions arise, when we have disturbing emotions like anger, jealousy, hate, pride, vanity, all these ill will, all these arises, when just a second, when afflictive emo- when afflictive emotions arise, such as attachment or anger, we should directly examine the nature of these emotions, so that we will not be deluded by these phenomena, and that we will be released from bondage and achieve enlightenment. So basically, I feel this we had shared in the last Monday meditation also, that if now I begin to see more the true nature of whatever is arising in my being, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, and when I stay with that anger that is arising, I see that how fleeting it is. It, like, if the 24-hour of a day, if I want to make anger my object of meditation, it's very hard, because it comes and goes, it disappears, it scatters. So the true nature of all phenomena is this emptiness, the space like vastness in which they disappear back again, just like a rainbow disappears back again into the sky. It was there, it appears that it was there, but the true nature of the rainbow is that vastness, that emptiness. So just like that, when we begin to understand the true nature of our even negative thoughts and very hard grained patterns, we see that they are nothing but, they appear to be real, but they don't have much, like, it's empty like a bubble. They are not that real. Then what happens is, slowly, gradually, I believe less and less in it. I don't give it much importance. Like, I don't want to hold my fort, if I can say these words. So you don't stand by your anger. You don't stand by, you may be still angry. That can still happen, but you will not be holding your fort that no, I am right and you are wrong. So you will not be defending yourself, at least, because you know that there is nothing there. I don't have to hold my fort like that. Nothing to defend. So it just, I feel that it opens us up, it opens the locks of our heart, and we become relatively, I would say, freer, not trying to defend and always trying to make a stand, or being in this party or that party, because I know that my opinions are so empty like bubbles. So how does it matter if the other person does not agree? How does it matter? So yeah, I think that's what the last thing. Anything? Yeah, anyone?
Just a thought, Monica. So indeed, I mean, if we trying to connect all the, the crux of the satsang, no. So indeed, I think we talk about being observant of our thoughts. So like, if I'm angry, I have to be observer. Then only I can take action on. Then certainly the other part, what the video talked about, how not to be get attracted to your your own ones, or the attachment of the relationships and everything. Somehow, probably, again, it's just a thought of Kerry as well, must be a root of all of these theories. Like, single person should not be attached to anything. Single person should be all observer. Single person should be loving to everybody, and many like that. So sometimes it feels very difficult in one single life, to follow all of these together. And of course, if you try to hold one of these, the other one leaks out. But maybe it's not too complicated. Maybe the root is very simple, and maybe I don't know what is the root. Is it the love to everybody before you is the root, or you are not the mind, the observer? That is the root. Probably again, maybe I will need some reflections offline, but certainly these thoughts keep coming to me always. Like, what is one theory I have to follow?
So, Saurabh, I think there is no theory that we have to follow, but it's just to realize that we are not living a life which is our own. A life lived by the tendencies and patterns, listening to the dictates of the thought patterns and emotional patterns. We think that that's my life, but does it make us fulfilled? And if it is not making me fulfilled, then I will go on seeking, because the very nature of human beings, like the way we are right now, we will continue to seek unless we uh, attain who we truly are, like we reclaim the power back. So you can't help it actually, whether as you said, the only single person, it's my individual path, I have to do all the corrections. Yes. Why? Because it's you who is seeking. If not this path, the path may be infinite possibilities, as Mother and Sri Aurobindo say. So the path may be different, the theory may be different, but the truth is only one, that I have to wake up to who I am truly. And these are just different ways of pointing towards that only truth, that wake up to your reality, wake up to who you truly are. And if you feel that you are fulfilled with the regular way of life, living in the ordinary limited mind, if that makes you fulfilled, by all means follow that. But if something else calls you from inwardly, inwardly there is a different call, and you know that this is to be followed, then one follows that. Would it make sense?
Yeah, and of course, it's a lifetime struggle. Maybe it is a practice and reflections, and again and again and again. So, but yeah, thanks for sharing
Thank
thoughts.
you. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
And Mother and Sri Aurobindo also wrote few books on relations, how we can be in the relations, because even the work, in the health, in the workplace, and what you aspire, these things, especially the thing was our current situation or our current state is different, and if you would like to, if we want to take the path, we have to read those books and how to practice those things, and slowly you have to go towards to that way in the outer world. At the same time, everyone has to do their sadhana, at least by connecting to the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, either their own in a way, by chanting or by reading Savitri or by speaking to some satsang like this, whoever are already connected. This is the inner way. And coming to the outer, everything was they have done, every aspect, life, relations, work, everything, sports, and everything, how you have to take them, and how you have to think at that situations, those kind of things. It's like a Gita. Maybe if you will, those are very simple books. We have nearly 12 or 21, I'm not sure. That is also helps a lot, because I have gone through the pitfalls of sadhana one time, especially when we face issues in the work. It makes it helps a lot. And you
Would you
will
like to
work and
share? Would you like to share what are these books that you are referring to?
oh, those I just got from ashramam. There's a peace is there, illness is
Ah, okay.
there,
So you're
and
talking about
work
these little
small. Yes,
compilations.
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
okay, okay.
So there you can say like how we have to think,
Yeah.
even in the love also, how we have to love one person.
Hmm.
So at that time you never face like a thought patterns issues and emotional disturbances. Sometimes energy issues also was there, and sometimes physical also. Sometimes we will expect someone has to do. This helps us a lot actually, because few years before I have read. That's why just I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. So this is where we end the verse 8. And I think this is not the end actually, although we are just giving a halt to the discussion about it, but I think it's a lifelong of a practice. And regarding these verses, it is said that even if you practice half of this verse, half of any verse, not even like you have to pick every verse, if you practice half of a verse, that is enough for a lifetime. So I recommend, for myself and all of us who are wanting to walk this path, to keep this handy. I can share this with all of you. It's all available on Google also. And I think just because we are so forgetful that uh, I may be talking about these verses, but when the actual situation happens, I'm forgetful of it. I'm not able to implement it. And that is why it's good to remind ourselves to read these verses out again and again, because I forget. Because I forget. So that even if in retrospect I understand that, oh my God, I should have behaved better, one of the verses I can take and immediately practice. Like, I was sharing the other day that there was some situation that happened, and this verse of Tonglen, basically taking in the suffering and exhaling peace and contentment for everyone, it really helps, so it can help in retrospect also. Maybe you have followed a tendency and fallen in a prey to jealousy, blame, hate, whatever, anger. But even immediately, the moment you realize and become conscious, these things really are very helpful. Immediately, it can have an healing impact. So, I hope and wish everyone a very good, deep practice. And I'm hoping that we will start something on these lines very soon. Maybe on Thursday, I don't know, not sure about the day. Maybe pick up a book on these very similar lines and listen to the teachings together and reflect upon it, and yeah, share. So if anyone has suggestions, you can direct message me later on, or we'll think about it and share it with you on the groups.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very,
thank you.
very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you
And
for
Thank
participating,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for
thanks, everyone.
joining.
It's really
Bye.
nice. Yeah.
Bye.
Have a nice day.